Hey, what's up, everyone? Moroni here. So, I just got done watching Stretch Armstrong and the Flex Fighters, and I have to say, I really enjoyed this show. I wasn't planning on doing a review on it. I just kind of watched the first couple episodes just to see if it was good because I'm a fan of animated shows and superhero things. And so I checked it out. So for those of you who don't know, Stretch Armstrong is based off of an old toy. It's like an old stretchy toy. It's like this guy who he looks naked for whatever reason, from what I remember. And you just get him and you can stretch him out, stretch his legs, stretch his body, stretch his arms, and it's just pretty much a stretchy toy. So for whatever reason, Hasbro decided to make it into a cartoon. I don't know if they made a cartoon about it in the past. I'm not too familiar with it, but I was somewhat interested. So they decided to go the superhero route because you got this guy who can stretch. He's pretty much a superhero. He's similar to Mr. Fantastic or the Elongated Man from DC. Plastic Man, just someone who can stretch their limbs, or even like Luffy from One Piece, who has stretchable abilities, are probably more aligned to him because. Okay, so anyway, the show starts with these two characters, Nathan and Jake, and they've been best friends for a long time, and they start helping out this new kid named Ricardo, and Ricardo starts talking to Jake. Because Jake is on a very strict schedule, like his family life. His dad has him on a strict schedule, so Ricardo's like, "Hey, do you ever relax or anything?" And Jake's like, "Oh yeah, I love." I have this one thing that I enjoy doing. So they go caporing throughout the city, and eventually they get to this warehouse because, of course, they're gonna jump all over a warehouse for whatever reason. And they fall through the warehouse, and there's a bunch of chemicals that end up falling all over them, which gives them their powers to stretch and whatnot. So this is a basic superhero origin. You got three people who are in a chemical accident and they gain great abilities. So their abilities are to stretch. Like I said, Stretch Armstrong, he can stretch his limbs however he wants. That's his basic power. And the other two characters, Jake, his superhero name is Stretch Armstrong. Nathan, his superhero name is Wingspan. And Ricardo, his superhero name is Omnimass. So Omnimass can grow his limbs to any size he wants. So he can make his fist gigantic, or his feet gigantic, or even his head gigantic. And then Wingspan, he can stretch out his body to become kind of like a glider. But overall, they're pretty indestructible, and they can all stretch to some degree. But so that's pretty much their powers. So the first two episodes, it sets up their origin, and then they're taken in by Rook, who's this CEO of this big company who pretty much controls the entire city, and he gives them their uniforms and everything. And the series is pretty much them fighting villains, every episode, with an overarching storyline with this villain they call him Stretch Monster. They never give it a good official name until maybe the end of the series. But the main bad guy, I guess you could say, is Stretch Monster, who's going around the city creating stretch villains and everything. So that's pretty much the show. You got the three superheroes fighting crime, your basic superhero story. And it's really good. I really enjoyed it. I was surprised how much I liked it. It reminded me of a good superhero shows like Static Shock or The Amazing Spider-Man or The Spectacular Spider-Man, which this show is actually created or produced by one of the producers of The Spectacular Spider-Man. And you can tell because it's a really good show. It's well developed. It has great action, great animation. Like when the characters stretch, they stretch in creative ways, and it looks really great and fluid. And then they have, since they're high school students, they have a little bit of the high school drama, which I actually enjoyed because having the high school setting helps create some character development outside of their superhero personas. So the show was really great and interesting. And one of the things let me get into the things I really liked about this show. One of the things that I felt they got right was they usually in a show like this, they have the trope where the big CEO of the company is super evil, and he accidentally creates the good guys, and he spends the entire show trying to destroy him and capture him or whatever. But in the show, the CEO he decides to take him in and make him their corporate or his corporate superheroes. So he gives them the suits and everything, and he trains them, and he gives them new equipment and whatnot, which is really interesting. I like that take. You know, it was a good take because usually, like I said, in every other show, he would be the main bad guy, and they'd be fighting him constantly. But it was good change. And then I like their personal lives. Each character had a different personal life. Like Stretch Armstrong, he only had a dad. His mom passed away before the series began, and his dad has him on a strict schedule. So his day is planned out from before he wakes up to when he goes to sleep. Just like he's always doing something, you know, cello lesson, working out or something. His dad has him on this strict schedule, and it's really interesting because you think he would hate his dad for him, but his dad really loves him. He's like, look, I have you on the schedule because your mom wanted the best for you, and I think the schedule will give you the best life you can have, or is the best thing for you, which I thought was really interesting and really cool. And then he's also conflicted because he's also constantly lying to his dad, and he's just like, I hate lying to my dad, so that's one of the things that, you know, creates drama. And then Ricardo, we don't see his parents. I guess his parents are constantly working, and he's always moving around, so he's kind of cold and distant towards people. He's like, I don't like getting close because we just moved, and I don't really know how to be close to anyone. You know, I'm not really used to having a real family because my parents are never home. So I kind of like that. And then Nathan, he comes from a big family. He has like 7 or 8 brothers and sisters, and his grandpa lives with them. And his grandpa finds out, or spoilers, finds out their secret identity, and he kind of covers for them and, you know, helps them out. So that's pretty much the 3 characters. That's something I really enjoyed, you know, having that growth and depth for these characters. It's really interesting. And the actresses were great, like I said. They had great villains. This show established a lot of great villains. Like, they have a great rogues gallery. Like, from the beginning to the end, almost every episode introduced a new character or a new villain, which was really good, because now if they have a second season, you're gonna have already these great, you know, characters that they can come back to in battle against. So I really enjoy that, and I really like that. One of their greatest villains was what was her name? Blind Strike, who is this ninja, and he's kind of one of the antagonists throughout this series. There's 3 bad guys. They're pretty much antagonists throughout the entire series with the overarching story. And Blind Strike's one of them. He's kind of like a henchman. He's very, very cool. I really like the design. He was amazing. And the show ends kind of not on a cliffhanger, but on a big status quo change. Like the next season is going to be completely different from this season, because their status quo is just completely changed. There's a kind of a twist ending that you could kind of see coming, but I felt was really well done, because they kind of sprinkle hints throughout the show, but you can easily miss them and be like, oh man, I didn't see that coming. So props to that. There were some bad things. The animation was great, but towards the last episode, for whatever reason, had some frame rate issues. Like, even I could tell, and I usually can't tell that. Like, the characters were a little choppy. So I was like, okay. And since this is based off a toy commercial, you can tell they're going to make toys off this. Because there's one episode where they randomly get vehicles. They're like, oh, these are our flex vehicles. You know, they're super, super cool and amazing. And I'm just like, no, those are obviously toys that they're probably going to be making. And then those things only show up in one more episode after that. Probably just to justify or remind people like, hey, check out these toys. So those are 2 things I didn't like. And then there was a subplot with Ricardo where he started spending time with Nathan's family. And like I said, he's not used to spending time with a family. So he was like, he gets close to the little sister, and the little sister's like, hey, come to my spelling bee. And he doesn't end up going, and it creates kind of this drama where the little sister's mad at him, and Nathan's kind of mad at him. He's like, hey, you let her down. She really likes you and really wanted you there, you know, because you guys got really close. And Ricardo's just like, no, you know, I had something to do. You know, I don't know how to be, you know, a family. I don't know how to be around people, which I thought was really interesting. But that storyline kind of fizzles. Like, towards the end, they don't really mention it or anything. Like, he stops going to Nathan's house, and they just kind of stop talking about it. It's kind of really weird and awkward, and I hope they pick it up in the next season because I thought it was really interesting and was good towards Ricardo's development, you know, making him more warm and affectionate towards people. So I hope they continue that in the next season, which I do hope they get a second season because I think they deserve it. Like I said, the show was surprisingly good. It was really well done for what should have just been a show to advertise toys. So I'm props to Netflix and the producers and the creators of the show. Really fantastic. That's pretty much all my complaints that I had. Like I said, overall it was a great, fantastic show, and I was surprised and I really enjoyed it. I recommend it to anyone who likes superhero cartoons or just animated shows or just animation, you know. If you like superheroes cartoons, go check it out. It's a great, enjoyable show. You'll enjoy it. I give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Like I said, great show. I had a great time watching it. It's on Netflix now, so if you have Netflix, go watch it. It's 13 episodes long. You know, it won't even take you that long to go through it, and it's great. Fantastic. Check it out. Thank you for watching. If you watch the show, let me know in the comments below. What do you think should happen in the second season? I think that if you're familiar with the toys, there's these bad guys called the Backpack and Backman. I hope they make appearance in the second season because I think that would be hilarious. As always, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.
Hey, if you like this video, we have several other awesome videos you can check out. And again, thanks for watching.